The extortionate price of energy and food is driving so many people to the brink. For more than 2 years, prices have relentlessly increased. There has been no relief for people who are struggling. Prices have increased at rates that far outstrip any increase in wages. In fact, we know that real wages have gone down. The real median weekly wage has fallen by nearly €100. Taoiseach, that's more than 5,000 a year. While incomes are decimated, families are struggling to pay energy costs that have doubled and food prices that are now in the stratosphere. Increases in energy and food prices are costing families at least an additional €3,200 annually. And that's just to eat and have enough electricity to power a home. Taoiseach, we're not talking about workers and families who are spending disposable income on luxury goods. We're talking about parents who work hard all week and are going without meals so they can feed their children. We're talking about 25%, a quarter, of residential gas customers who are in arrears on their bills because they can't make ends meet. We're talking about older people who are afraid to turn on the heating in their house, sitting in freezing cold rooms all day. These are people who've contributed so much to our country for their entire lives. But tens and thousands of them have now been plunged into energy and food poverty and feel abandoned by government. Last year, when energy prices soared after Russia invaded Ukraine, people understood that prices would rise. But now, when wholesale energy prices have fallen back to 2021 levels, why are ordinary consumers still being hammered with record prices? And why is a basket of staple items in the supermarket continuing to rise? Tokenistic cuts to the price of butter and milk will not cut it. And it's telling that once one retailer made those reductions, everyone else piled in behind them. Clearly, it was a price reduction they could all easily afford to make. There's a suspicion that the supermarket chains are using Irish consumers as cash cows. Dunn's, Lidl and Tesco won't report their Irish profits. But Taoiseach, Aldi reported its Irish profits for the first time in 2021, and the results were revealing. Its Irish operation was 71% more profitable in 2020 than its British stores. Are the other retailers hiding similarly enormous profit margins? At the time, Aldi's managing director said Ireland was more lucrative because there was less competition in the market. Or perhaps there are just less consumer protections because we have a toothless regulator and an apathetic government. Taoiseach, you say you want to see food prices coming down in the next 6 weeks, but what will you do if that doesn't happen? Anything?
Taoiseach. Thanks very much, Deputy. As I acknowledged in my reply to Deputy McDonald, and I do want to acknowledge it again, the government understands and knows that the price of energy has gone up a lot in the past year, as is the price of groceries. And we appreciate the fact that many people, many individuals, many families, many households are struggling to make ends meet. And that's why we have taken action to increase people's pay, to reduce the amount of tax they have to pay, and to make sure that the money that they have after tax goes further, like reducing the cost of childcare, the cost of public transport, the cost of education, all of those things. And we'll continue to do so across the summer, and we will take further action at budget time in October as well. And you're absolutely correct on one point, Deputy. In 2022, real incomes fell. For the first time in maybe 7 years, real incomes fell. That is, prices rose faster than wages. And we had enormous progress under this government and the last one, where we had real increases in wages for several years, unlike in most countries, or many other countries. Last year was an exception. This year, we expect to see real wage growth again. Inflation averaging at around 5%, minimum wage going up by 7.8%, wages going up as well, on average by more than 5%. So we expect to see a return to what's been normal in Ireland under governments led by my party and the other parties in government, where wages tend to go up in real terms every year, not something that happens in a lot of parts of the world. In terms of electricity bills, and you pointed out the number of people in arrears, what you didn't point out is that the number of people in arrears on their electricity bills is actually at its lowest for very many years. There are fewer people in arrears on electricity bills now than there was during the pandemic or before the pandemic. And that is because of the actions we took, particularly in relation to electricity credit. I accept that's not the same for gas, And we didn't give a credit for gas because, unlike electricity, some people use gas, other people use other fuels, and there are complications in doing that. But we do expect to see the price of gas and electricity fall this year. We've already seen the price of petrol and diesel fall this year, and we're going to use the proceeds of the windfall tax and the proceeds of the special dividend, which we've imposed on ESB, for example, to help families in the autumn with their bills, and that's certainly the plan that we have. You make a valid point, I think, in relation to profit margins. That is something that Minister Richmond is going to raise with the companies today. I have no problem with the companies making profits, but I don't see any reason why retailers' profit margins should be much greater here than they are in other jurisdictions, and that is a matter he's going to raise with them today. The CCPC is a powerful regulator. We brought in legislation last year. Did it myself when I was Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Employment, working with my Ministers of State to strengthen that body, to make sure that it has all the powers that any competition regulator would have in any other part of Europe, and it got additional resources.
Kearns.
Taoiseach, I think you're just repeating the same tired mantra, and it's starting to really lack credibility. We know general inflation does not explain the obscene price increases we're seeing across the economy. The ECB has said that it's greed driving inflation now. We know certain companies are milking it, and we know the government seems unwilling or unable to do anything about that. You've been politely asking energy companies to reduce their prices for months, and they're just ignoring you. You can't even convince the state-owned company to bring their prices down. Now we're told Minister Richmond is going to wag his finger at supermarket groups and tell them to bring their prices down, and he assured me yesterday that he will ask for transparency around their profit margins in Ireland versus other countries. But it isn't clear if there'll be any repercussions if they don't, or if they don't reduce their prices. So it seems you can't do anything about these extortionate prices if there's no plan in place. And then the next thing is, how do you ensure low and middle income earners don't pay the price of that failure? They've suffered enough through 2 years of spiralling prices, and they can't take any more. And for everyone's sake, please stop listing off the one-off measures that the government introduced, because we all know they're not a sustainable response to a continuous crisis. What will you do to help people weather this storm? Because tax breaks is the only other thing you mentioned. And a tax break isn't a break if it erodes the basic services that underpins your cost of living and your quality of life.
Taoiseach.
Yeah, a lot of the measures that I mentioned are not one-off measures. The reduction in the price of childcare, for example, is a permanent measure, and we would anticipate doing more in the forthcoming budget. Same applies to the reduction in the cost of public transport, and I could go on. There's 20 or 30 measures we've taken, and many of them are permanent. Not one-off. Deputy, it's a tired narrative to say that we aren't taking action. Take what we've done on energy, for example. We've imposed a special dividend on ESB, which we can now use to help homes and businesses with their energy costs. We're also bringing in a windfall tax, which again will raise hundreds of millions of euros that we can use to help homes, households and businesses with their energy costs. And we've also reduced VAT and excise on energy in a budget that Social Democrats opposed. Let's not forget that. Voted against a budget in which we reduced VAT and we reduced excise on electricity, gas, petrol and diesel, and that's a fact, Deputy. When it comes to retailers, Minister Richmond is going to meet with them today, and the message from him will be very clear, that when your input costs went up, you increased prices for consumers. As your input costs come down, we expect to see prices for consumers to come down as well. And he is going to raise the issue of profit margins with them in that meeting.
All right.